Nice. How are you? Yes. How are you doing? So I forwarded it to Tara. I was like,
All right, I have 6 o'clock. Chris is gonna be late. He's coming.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Anybody has any changes to the agenda or any comments? Just need a motion to.
I'll make the motion.
Trevor,
I'll second.
all those in favor say aye. Public comment. Anybody? All right, administrative reports. Ms. Jolene's first.
Oh, okay. I think the budget adjustment that I have, there. Apparently I missed a zero. It was a crucial zero when I put my budget. So I need to put 100,000 in that speech therapy line. Also wanted to request, and I put this up there, if you would allow, I know other schools do this, to where they allow our discretion for doing maintenance and transfer bars between functions. Because it's a constant activity, actually. Basically, I'm guessing how we're gonna spend the budget for the year. Go figure, I don't really get it right on the spot every time. So I'm constantly trying to move money around to cover that software or whatever it is. So I know this works, I know Hobbs does it, and Debs does it. Lots of people do it. It's mainly maintenance and transfers in the same function. And then I just bring it to you at the next meeting. Other than that, I guess I really didn't have anything else really fun to bring you since I basically put it in the budget anyway.
So do we have a speech therapist, or is that just like through REC?
Through the REC, that's all through the REC.
What is that, what you're wanting to propose for us? What is it called?
Maintenance or transfer bar.
Okay,
Basically, if it's not in a line that I need it to be in the same function, then I just go ahead and get it moved with y'all's okay, and then I bring it back to you the next board meeting. Let you know how it transpired. It's not for like new money or, it's just moving money into a line. You know, a lot of things we could pay just in general, but sometimes it's nice to put it in a software line, put it where it really does need to go. That way when it gets paid out, next year then we'll go back and look at it, know exactly what it's spent.
How are you doing now? Just with the budget approvals that we did? Or?
Yeah, except like at the end of the year, I kind of went rogue and had to do some maintenance while we action. But because if you meet once a month, a lot of times it's not really enough time to, This is kind of on the fly, a lot of it, to get it moved over there.
We have to approve that, though. Is it gonna be part of this budget adjustments or?
Yeah, we already think about it a lot. We can put it on, I can put it on for next as far as the action item. And I can give you this budget. Why? See what I'm talking about. I know it's a lot of papers, it's a lot of, get lost in all the numbers, I know. Other than that, I'm just, I don't have any of the new people set up yet as far as the salary goes. I'm kind of anxious to get that done so that I can kind of encumber all their salary for the whole year and really kind of see where we're at on the budget.
Barbie?
We had our annual fire extinguisher inspection July the 10th, so everything is current and up to date. July the 11th, Buckeye came and did all the interior buildings and all of the campus and the field house and access fence. Johnson Septic came pumped out our grease trap on July the 17th. On July the 25th, Ken's security came down and did a fire alarm annual inspection and found the short in the middle school. So that's all back up and running. Also, the fire suppression system in Rangewood is scheduled for the cafeteria scheduled in September. It's a biannual requirement. DES approved the quote on the concession stand roof for $34,885.85. We had two other quotes, but they were both up in $80,000. Calcita carpet and tile would be coming tomorrow to put BCP tile in Dean's room. We have all of our outside water leaks fixed and
Any questions? Okay, thank you. Mr. Williams?
All right. Special education, we'll talk about the IDEA application here in a little bit with the action item. We have finished our end of year reporting, literally last Friday. It's still a mess. Our SIS is not communicating, so I had to manually create snapshots so our kids could report, because at one point they had us with 78 gifted kids and no sped kids. And so it changed all the time. So we finally got it done on Friday. Big thanks to Daniel for his help with that. Synergy is still trying to work out the kinks. Me and Daniel are going to the NOVA conference this week just to see how the reporting is going to be different for this next year, because you're still going to have 40, 80, 120 end of year, but the reports are different, and some of what they're going to want from SPED and pre-K, the reporting times are going to be a little bit different. So we'll be there Wednesday, Thursday for that, but it's done, which is the big thing right now. Speaking of SLP, I actually interviewed a potential in-person SLP today, right before this. And so she actually lives in Roswell, has a ton of experience and stuff. So it's potential that we could end up bringing her on to do 5 days of in-person SLP instead of the tele SLP that we've been paying for the last couple of years through the REC. So it was really good, promising potential. Obviously, those services would be best in person than over a screen and stuff. So, and potentially, it could save us about $25,000 of what we're paying for tele. So it would be a win-win in a lot of different directions for us. We interviewed on Friday as potential SPED teacher for the elementary when the Browns resigned. We had interviewed a number of others Unfortunately, we have, so that was good, another job. Um, This is a lady from Colorado who's willing to come down, to come out, uh, a Spanish degree, Spanish, so, uh, she finally got her application on. So, a Spanish gay position, we've had interviews and should be able to put that. From a staffing standpoint, that's kind of where we're at. Due to transfers and students that we've had here, we have added an elementary life skills class. We have a student from the School of the Blind who's coming in, a student from Artesia that's coming in, and then a couple students here that we can better serve in that. So we've had to create that class to best serve our kids of that need. And so Ms. Victoria Rodriguez is going to be, as she finishes her degree, going to be the teacher, and Erica Bravo and Michelle are going to be EAs. So, some of the good and the bad, the new kids coming, we have needs that we need to be able to serve the best of our ability. So, that's the new. So, from Fed, Mr. Lassard is still planning on coming in October and stuff, and so he will take over the responsibility of special education director. He'll be part-time, so I'm not sure, 2.5 days, I think is what he's going to be here for a week. Ton of experience and will do a great job for him. But other than that, same for questions. Current special education.
Any questions?
All right, elementary. We, in the month of June, we did the summer literacy program through the PED. Kind of we jumped in late and jumped in. And big shout out to all of our staff, teachers and EAs who came in and provided those services. For the time that we had to flip it, they did a heck of a job. The state provided us a reading curriculum called Reading Horizon, and they picked it up and did a bunch of training and did a really good job in the amount of weeks. We did 15 days of instruction in the month of June. Next board meeting, I'll bring you the DIVL results from beginning to end so you can see kind of the growth that we had there. So we served about average around 57 kids per day, all the way up to 8th graders, all the way down to kindergarten. So, but the staff really did a good job with that. Unfortunately, that program, the state didn't fund certain parts, like fully fund transportation, didn't pay for a custodian, some of those kinds of expenses that we incurred. That kind of made it a little bit difficult from a financial standpoint. But at the end of the day, our kids learn. That's good. From a staffing standpoint, from elementary, outside of the SPED stuff, we have one EA, preschool EA, Maria Ramirez, resigned July 15th, somewhere around there. And so we've had some interviews to replace her as a preschool equipment fee. So hopefully we'll have that recommendation here quickly. I have an interview in the morning with a young lady. With the have an interview. So hopefully if that interview goes well, we'll have that position filled and what's that. Excited, our new fifth grade teacher, Ms. Flores from the Philippines, arrived on Saturday night. So she's here getting her stuff. She's excited to be here. So that was a little nerve-wracking getting her over a little bit. But looking forward to a good year. Met with the leadership team last week. Days are running together. Last week and talked a lot about the years and stuff we're going to implement. I'll talk about that with the handbook here in a little bit. So a lot of exciting stuff. We've got kids registering, we keep losing kids, so it's, you gain some, you lose some and stuff. So I think we're gonna end up being around the same number, maybe a little bit more. When it's all said and done. So, last time I looked at, we're at 207. I'm gonna roll that down. So, that's all building. And for any, or I sit for any questions. Oh, big shout out to Color Gray, Olivia Dennis, and Color Gray for showing at the fair. They did a really good job. Got the chance. I didn't get to see how like miss that part, but I got this Color Gray. Most of them. You do what?
Ellie won the Blue
Oh, she won the blue.
She didn't work that pig.
Heck yeah. I do need to see if you can bring a pig on the first day. 'Cause
You have to talk to Rowdy.
I'll talk to her.
I got a 300-pound one going after the first day.
That's fine. Miss Lopez has got to kiss the pig. So, that's, I'll reach out to her.
Oh, Rio is.
Or big one.
He's not pretty
Big there, you got to clean it. All right.
He came off the bathroom taking last week.
Yeah, so it'll be good. Miss Lopez of the fifth graders is the pig that we're supposed to do here in Hagerman. So we'll make sure it happens on the first. We'll start the year off right. Yeah. That's pretty cool.
I wish. That's cool.
I'll do the secondary together, middle school, high school, it's pretty much the same at this point. We have all of our staff hired. Fingers crossed, everybody's here. We have a business teacher, we have social studies, we've got all of the, a new science teacher joining this, class teachers live and in person. It's gonna be an exciting year, very excited for our new staff to start. They will come on, they'll come to our board meeting on the 19th to be introduced to you guys. They'll also start with their new high level orientation on Friday morning. And we will do some with them to help get them prepared for school. Tomorrow and Wednesday, the secondary students, 6th through 12th grade, will be able to come pick up schedules. Ms. Dunn has been working very hard to get those prepared for the kids. We don't quite have everything ready to go into Synergy yet to be available, but they will have a paper copy when they come to pick up their schedule for first aid. Brandon got a little delayed this morning with the no power, so I think she was getting a little frazzled to get it all done, but we're ready to go. We'll have schedules for the 6th to 12th graders tomorrow. On the first, the evening of the first, we're gonna have sixth grade orientation and 9th grade orientation. 6th grade will be at 5:30, 9th grade will be at 6:30. I want to go through a little brief rundown and welcome those new groups of students to their respective buildings. Teacher in-service will start on Monday the 5th. We have in-service planned for the 5th and the 6th. Lots of things planned for those days. The 7th, we hope to give the teachers an update in their classroom on the 8th and 9th. And we're going to focus a lot on our capturing good parts and then building relationships with those kids those first couple of days before we get real community, the typical education side of stuff. But we are pretty excited. I think we're looking forward to a really great school year. I'm going to defer now to Coach for athletics perspectives and things that he needs to share there. And then Mr. Parker, if you have any CTE things. That kind of wraps up what I have. If you have any questions for me about stuff, I'd have to, these gentlemen are much more well-versed than those other.
Great news. Roads in Ring G are 95% in the shop. They're installed. If you would like to go see it, I'd be happy to show it off. Before I start piecing everything back together, the whole front of the shop is a disaster. But they've worked hard. Roads at least promised me they would be done by August 1, and road is going to be done by August 1. J&G, we'll see. We're holding that to it. Other than that, we're holding out to see if we get this Harbor Freight grant in October for CT funding. Got all the last bit of stuff submitted. Hopefully we'll know in the next few weeks. They normally announce in October, which is the week of Easter, when I went and backtracked, so we shall see. Day-wise, we had a great week at Southern. We had 7 kids from Hagerman on the show. 5 of them were active FFA members and 2 are our little prospect junior members, so couldn't be more excited to watch them and be there to support them. They all did great. We had 5 kids make the sell. Rough calculation, Hagerman kids brought in about $56,000 that sell, which is great to help the kids continue bettering the project and working hard. Another big little announcement today. This will be our 95th year existence for Hagerman today. So be looking out for some events and things that we'll be bringing throughout the year. We have hired a new middle school science teacher that will be joining us. He'll be based here in middle school, so we look forward to that. For that, stand for question.
First thing, we have the state number through 5A boys track and field coach of the year right here. Congratulations. You received his award at the coaches clinic this past week. There's a banquet. You went on stage. Was pretty. Great job. Super proud of him. Couldn't have gone to a better coach, better guy. So we're really grateful that we have him as part of our coaching staff. I think he's also being considered for national track and field coach. He's in the running. Yes. Yeah. So he's the man. He's the man. Coaches went to coaches clinic this past week, and AD stuff as well. Just kind of beginning of the year, housekeeping, rules blanks were available. There were guest speakers. Mike Pieria from sports, one of the old officials, the officials for the keynote speakers there. Coaches were on stage. They had an open panel about like how to deal and how to talk with parents. Just housekeeping stuff with them. That went on from Thursday through Saturday morning. Football, volleyball, cross country, they're getting ready to go. First official day of practice for football was today, the 29th. Volleyball and cross country summer workouts. Schedules are pretty much done. I'll have a calendar for you guys hopefully by next week. Next Monday at 5 will be our annual parent meeting where we will go over housekeeping stuff for us, signing athletically, learn over what that code looks like, just typical things you hope your kids are going to play sports. And then you have to watch the annual video that the NMA releases, but that hasn't been out yet. So hopefully it's out in time. They promised me this will be here this week. If not, we might have to delay it or find some sort of alternative. We have chairs. JP Stone donated the money to purchase chairs, new chairs for the gym. So hopefully those will be in sometime during volleyball season. Basically the same design as the Hagerman on the back, the Bobcat head there, and within along the front edge. It'll have the JP Stone logo and the say JP. Thanks to them for donating chairs. And one thing that I learned this week, if you guys want to discuss virtual meetings race as well, there's an insurance out there that covers all students when it comes to like reliability. So if kids don't have health insurance to play sports, they have to purchase insurance through us. We have this performance program that is possible. You play football, you have to buy that football insurance. You have to do football insurance, and that only covers football. And then if coaches that a couple of kids that have done football, so they have to buy that. But they also run cross country, so they can buy another insurance on top of that. It covers them for everything else. But I learned there is some sort of program out there that covers every student enrolled in the school, no matter what. So if Mr. Parker takes them to the Celeste Cruise, for some reason all goes on a high and works. Only kids those kids, like if Lord forbid if something happened, those kids would be covered, whether they were athletes or not. If we go on a field trip somewhere and something happens, we have that insurance. So new concept. I know Eunice is doing it, and I don't know the other school who is part of that as well. But I talked to the AD from Eunice. She sent me the information an hour or two ago. So I haven't had a chance to look at it.
So I think we discussed this policy, and I think it was last year it was like $5 per student, but then we got 165. So I really think that we need to try to get this. And we also talked about it, and we figured it would be probably like, I can't remember if it was $2,000 or $3,000 for students at the school. But I think, because this will cover it, if your kid who falls in the playground, I mean, covers everything. Is that what mine's, weekends too?
Yes.
Yes, yeah, I've already.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're going, oh,
Effective,
So we need to tell kids not to buy in.
and not until we need, for sure.
Right.
Because there's no kids buying insurance already.
well, they're gonna have to.
Right, and I highly recommend that they do get it,
Well, so,
because there's gonna be some loopholes, and, you watch, there's gonna be like, okay, you won't be, this won't cover this won't cover that. So this one could be like additional.
yeah, and so, they talked about that at the clinic, and she said that, it's good, it covers them if they have to go to the hospital, they're fine. But if the parent has an additional insurance, and it helps with, like MRI, maybe extended stay at the hospital, something that wouldn't necessarily be covered. Is the MRI, I don't know exactly what it is, but I mean, said it is for football, there's no difference between football and the other insurances, which is what we cover. That costs a lot, like, I know I paid for a kid in the past.
Just 270.
Just,
Just the book.
and it's like 90.
That's for the year.
Football is not-
Just for football.
But then you should go to
To
the
buy a football too, but
We have to buy
$300 football, something.
So we'll get more information tomorrow, and I'm sure that will cover everything.
Yeah, all right.
If I'm not mistaken, this is, it doesn't cover everything, it'll cover like.
See, I just don't want them to come back and say, well, you know what? It was supposed to cover
And,
everything.
and,
You're right.
And
and they did, that's,
so that's why to me, it's like preferably for them to purchase their insurance. We have ours as a backup.
there's a lot of
there's about 5 to 10.
I think it also ensures, that I can't afford that. I know I have more than that.
No, I was thinking, I mean, some of our kids have other insurance, but I don't understand all of the ins and outs of it, but.
It would just be like, hey, you have, well,
They-
even,
they have all the
even if you have,
documentation.
yeah, they're enrolled at your school, they're playing sports, they're covered under this insurance, so that's. That's this insurance.
So we'll definitely look at this and make sure.
Yeah, and I'll do some more research on
That
it.
it covers.
And I think that's all I have. I'm not missing something.
You said the chairs, are they like folding chairs?
Folding chairs, are they like the ones that?
You know the chairs you got when
Did
you
you
were.
get to experience the chairs now? Or was that like?
What chairs?
Like the white chairs.
Stadium chair, stadium bobcat.
Let me find
No, we
White-
sat on the bench.
Yes.
There's no chairs, there's just a bench.
Yeah, see,
I was at the end of the bench.
All of it. You're in the- you're playing
What do
this,
you
I
do
know
with the
it.
old ones? That
Pushing, the ones
The
that are
good
good,
ones.
yeah.
The
Those are
good
good.
ones.
So it might be, the Hagerman bench has the Hagerman chairs, and the visiting bench has those green chairs.
It's $7,000.
It was just one thing that we had talked about.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, hey, do you have anything that you are needing? You want to give us?
How big are we talking?
Yeah.
Right.
Mr. Allen, kudos to you. Thank you. We are so proud of you.
Just waiting for you to, yeah.
All the questions. Next item will be the approval of the minutes from the regular meeting in June, and yes, it's a bills for the month. Questions? All those in favor say aye. All opposed. New business. First one is the telehealth.
Yes, so, actually, we have here Mr. Victor Gonzalez, he is, online. So, part of our community schools, we've been talking about trying to get a health clinic here. We have the facility at the middle school, we have a muscle clinic that I believe, it must have been, maybe 14, 15 years ago that we had a nurse practitioner here. And I know that this person wasn't here like every day, but we do have the facility, we have a great room. So part of our community schools, we've been discussing about how we can get even telehealth, because it's really hard to send our students, go to Roswell or our teacher to go get medical attention. So last year, at the beginning of the school year, Mr. Gonzalez actually contacted me, sent out an email about Santa Teresa, New Mexico, and in telehealth. So, but then somehow we lost the connection, and I believe they awarded all of their schools. This year, he emailed me again, so I thought, okay, I definitely need to make sure that I talk to him. And so we had a meeting last week about this. It sounds very promising. I think it's going to help our attendance, which is, one of our major goals for the school year, to be able to improve attendance. And basically, it's because the kids don't have to go to a clinic in Roswell or Artesia. They can just be able to see a doctor via telehealth. And then, of course, Mrs. Henson will be, if this is, if we get approval on this, she will be managing this. And without any further ado, I would like Mr. Victor Gonzalez to be able to provide with the information. Mr. Gonzalez, can you hear us? I think you're muted, sir.
There you go. Sorry, it was on our end.
Yes, sir. Yes.
So my question is, do y'all care, y'all say y'all provide care for the child, so this, y'all evaluate and it's over-the-counter medication, or y'all write different prescriptions, or do we, or what do the parents expect from this? Yes, ma'am.
So how much does all this cost?
Is this like an 8 to 5 thing, or is it after hours also, or? Yes, ma'am. So if a child doesn't have insurance and say the child goes to the nurse's office and then they contact you and then the parents get contacted and that's at the point where you find out there's no insurance, does that get billed back to the district at that point or what happens at that point?
What are the typical, or what are the typical wait times for a physician being available to see the child or whoever?
Can they register ahead?
Have you ever run into any out-of-network issues with insurance? What does Ms. Henson think of this?
She loves it. And the only thing, and now we did discuss with Mr. Gonzalez, and, you know, one of the things that was mentioned, Mr. Gonzalez, is that there would be no copay, which it was mentioned today again. But then also the fact that we do have a lot, and I mentioned to you that we have a lot of students without insurance or Medicaid, and I believe you did mention that there would be no cost for them either. And now you also mentioned that there's a possibility that we could apply for a grant so we can get somebody to assist the nurse, correct? Okay. So now also, if we decide to do this, can we open it up, let's say, not just for the students, but also for the staff? And- Uh-huh. Mhm. And that's the way our building is set up. The only thing that I don't want is for this to be a burden for the nurse, because she also has to do, everything else here. So that's why, for us, it would be ideal to have somebody that can assist her. Yes. So if we decide to consider this, or when will we be considered? I mean, will it be next year? Next year's fund? Okay.
How long is the contract if we get it?
When do we need to get on the list? When do we need to get on like the list to be approved, like in February, I'd say?
So our district consists of 3 schools, and they're all, within walking distance. So if we do this, it would be at the middle school, and then the elementary and the high school students can just walk over to the middle school. Just one. Just one. get a chance, you can email it to me and then I'll just forward it to the members of the board. Okay, thank you.
Hold on, I got one more question. So you prescribe a prescription, how long does it take for it to be filled? Like, as soon as the appointment's done, you submit it, or an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours?
I have a question. If we have a student that you feel may need a specialist, do y'all do referrals or do you just refer them back to their regular primary? Thank you.
All right, well, thank you.
Appreciate it. Yes, sir, thank you.
So I have a question for us.
Yes.
So it says to reduce the absentees, it's still going to take time out of them being in their classrooms. So
Yes, but what happens is that many times the parents take out the students and they take them for the entire day.
Or all the siblings around.
And then all the siblings, and so now with this, I mean, they can be here and, be able to be seen.
but do we want sick kids to still be in the classroom after they get done
Well,
with their visit?
That would all depend on what they,
Diagnosed.
what they really get diagnosed with. I see it as a win-win situation. Miss Henson was just totally amazed with it.
It's free.
It's free, and,
Who would do all the vitals? Did I miss that part? Who does
So,
like the checking of the vitals?
so with that, so that would be, of course, Ms. Henson, but what we're trying to do, and we could try to use community schools, because we do have that funding. But then if we didn't get that funding, it'll probably be what, another 2 more years, Mark?
Yeah.
And then, so we could try to get part of community schools, you know, if we can just get like a CNA, and that would be just an assistant to be able to do the vitals and be able to help Ms. Henson.
And they would pay for that assistant? Or-
Well,
the grant.
they do help.
Well, if we could.
But they do help with it, with, you know, to pay that person, but then, you know, it depends on how many patients we see. But then we could also apply for, you know, we do have community schools funding that we are supposed to do things like this for the community. And I think this would be ideal because a lot of people just can't go to town.
I know, like in the elementary, if one of them has a doctor appointment, typically
They all,
they all go.
they all go.
And then they're all gone for however long.
Because
They end up making a day of it.
Usually you take them out because they're sick that day and you can't get an appointment till the next
The
day,
next
so
day.
they're out 2
And then
days
you're
or
out. Yes.
more. I think it's,
I think it's a win-win situation now. Mr. Victor, he did say that the only thing that we would have to buy was the mount for the wall to install the equipment. But I don't think,
Yeah.
But if it's all free, one we're gonna do.
You could just get a pharmacy.
screw to the wall.
Get OLED TV.
The only drawbacks I see is the prescription side. That's the only drawback to it that I see, but
I think
but
it'd
you
be
know,
the
if you
same as
really
the
think
primary.
about it, the majority of our parents, they already work
Well, that's what I mean.
in Rockville that are teaching, so if that gets called in,
We can pick them up on their way home.
Well, here's my scenario, is my kids say, one of us have to come from Roswell or TJ to the school and then take them back. They
yes,
saw them here, their mom's across the road, which is, you know,
pick up the
very good,
prescription.
but we could pick up the prescription and,
Correct.
I mean, that's one scenario. but-
That's one scenario.
From a staff member perspective, I really like it, because there's a lot of times I've been to school really sick. And if,
I don't want to take a day off.
no, I'm not gonna take a day off because I don't wanna have to do supplements. Just stay over there, children.
Well, you can't get into a doctor, if you can get into her in 30 minutes-ish or so, I mean, that's a big benefit.
I think it's a win-win.
well, and think of
Yeah,
it from a
we-
recruiting standpoint.
Well, my doctor, like.
I mean, if we're trying to recruit staff, hey, we have telehealth here that, you know, it's free because the service that they're providing, but that's
Would be
another
something to
recruiting
add to it.
advantage that. you
In
know,
fact,
the
too,
extra,
she's
like-
open till 8 p.m.
There are times.
She's
And
open-
where were they from?
she's open as long as the school is.
As long as we want to.
Yeah, hey, I can make a game go to double overtime, man.
Yeah.
10, 30, 11.
Ms. Grace, do they do like strep tests? Will they have the ability to do
They,
those things?
they told Mrs. Henson that yes, they would be able to send her that. They'll send her medication such as, you know, just over-the-counter medication.
I think that's a big thing though, like if a kid has strep, we definitely don't want them back in the classroom.
Correct.
Like we can test for those things and say, all right,
Okay.
you have something that's contagious, you need to go home.
Like
Like,
strep, flu. some-
because a lot of times kids too will say, my stomach hurts. And they'll say it every single day of the
Well,
year.
this is-
and I don't know how to eliminate that. I'm just saying.
And I know like coaching, like it'd be great to like, hey, I don't feel good, but we'll go to the clinic, go see if they see what's wrong with
Make sure
you
you don't
or
have
whatever.
strep,
Yeah,
you
make
don't
sure
have
it's
flu, yeah.
because, you know, I know I've had kids that they want to be there. But I've had like
You
like
can clearly see,
Isaiah
like,
one time,
their-
yeah, coach, I don't feel good. What's wrong? I have flu. Go, Isaiah, you need to go.
Yeah,
Like,
They'll go,
like
they
you
don't
can
wanna
physically
miss.
see
I
they're
don't wanna
sick,
miss,
but.
And again, you know, I mean, when they're gonna get on the list and they will be a year.
And they didn't touch on, so are they gonna do like walk-ins, or do you have to like come and, I mean, you get your triage by Miss Henson, but then schedule an appointment like later that day, or,
It sounds like you got triage and she's.
well, I mean, I know she said within 30 minutes, but, I mean, if we like open it up to the community, are we gonna have like people just showing up and
I don't
walk-ins?
see opening it up to the community though.
I don't think
So
so.
just-
I think the
I think
first
just
staff.
staff and students
Yes,
is what I see.
students and
That-
staff for the first year. If we
That,
see
yeah,
that
no,
it's
I
something
totally agree with that, that's
works
all, it's
well,
like, that seems like a lot.
yes, and then the community, they don't even have to be at the school because they're in the nurse's office and you're welcome to go, you know, look at it, but we have everything. There's everything, and there's a door that people don't even have to
They have strap, they go out that door.
go out the door.
I think if you do it for a couple years and we go, hey, this is work, and we want to open it to the community, when we do the new building, then we can look at that point, designing a spot that the community could come in, because as an administrator, I kind of worry, community comes in, there's no,
Boundaries,
nothing,
nothing,
correct,
yeah.
there's no boundary, there's a door that they can walk in. So I think future-wise, if that's something the board would like to do in the new building, then that's something we look at, like, we build a spot specifically for that.
I think it has to be that, or else we're gonna run into a SRO security nightmare about whoever just wants to walk up and there not being a barrier.
Well, in the facilities, like even right now with that room, is there a restroom in there, or would they have
Yes.
to come out into the hallway? Oh,
Yes,
okay.
there's a restroom, there's a shower, there's pretty much,
Oh, okay.
I think three.
Whenever Phyllis started working, well, Phyllis was over here, actually, Claire's room, was where it was. But who was in this one? Whenever they
Nobody,
Miss
it was
Owens?
built and nobody actually
Okay,
used
because
it.
we were gonna transition Phyllis over there, I think, and then.
That's the one with the big cross space in it, right?
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
I know what you're talking about.
So we do have a facility, you know.
What if we have like, I don't know, a couple of students that are interested in the medical, could they help as well, you think?
Yes, absolutely.
But I wonder if like, there would be like only partnership, like people who need like hours, like through Roswell, if they need to like a site-based
Medical
internship,
assistants
like,
or their
yeah, if they're working on
CNA.
those things, hey, can you
That may be a way to
You
get,
have class in the afternoon.
like, the helper,
Yeah.
Class in the morning.
is you just partner with me and you are, and then those kids.
because they need practical hours.
They
Right.
do
I wonder if we
yes.
can get them over to Justin, and that was the class that you did.
How, Justin Powell, Dexter's chief, fire chief.
He does like classes that. Tons of hours.
Well, I mean, you don't have to make a decision today if we have a little bit more time, but I sure like to
I'd like to get the letter.
come in and get that letter and that way they can consider us and this is something that we want to do.
She answered all the questions. I really don't see any bad to it other than just figuring out how we want to run it.
Correct. And that, you know,
And it
I'll
doesn't
work
cost
with
us
the
anything. I don't
applicant.
think, even if we decide later not to do it, it's not a big deal.
Correct.
So it's an action item?
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, I said, if nobody disagrees to approve it.
I like it. Signature approved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say
Thank you. I think this will be great for the community.
I think it'll help you. Next item is the discipline matrix.
Do you want Mr. Parker to pull it up on the big board so we can look at it together, or do you want us to look off your copies that you're provided? Okay.
Like,
Send it to me.
No, it's in my email, but I can
Okay.
send it to you really quick.
Send it to me. 'Cause I'm
Oh,
writing
if
off.
it's a hassle, then that's fine.
No, it's not. It's-
It's the biggest hassle ever.
Some of you got lucky and had
I'm
the
just
green
Yeah,
one.
and the green copy, that means you win a prize that I didn't realize Maddie had green paper in the copier this morning, and I just went to town making copies.
Is it central?
Central office still does not have a
We have
copier.
no
It's
copies.
still.
I have to go to the printing press every day. To the high
I
school.
was hoping to see
I think it's the machine they have. I'm pretty sure.
It
We
didn't
should have it working.
just did that one backwards. Yeah. That other red one.
Lucky it's not too far. That was.
Oh, you got the green.
We should have that.
It took a minute for A-Ross to come through earlier.
The discipline matrix that I thought I lost this morning that caused me to have a slight
This one?
breakdown. That's the one. Okay, and yes, it is much larger, and there's a lot more pages to it, but we found out, and I think Coach Rodriguez will stand with me on this, there was a lot of gray area in our previous one, and it left a lot of things open to interpretation, and we found ourselves a lot of times wanting more and needing some more support in a different way. Ms. Reyes and I sat down yesterday, and she cross-referenced everything we have in this discipline matrix with everything that is suggested from the
NMSBA.
NMSBA policy, so we should have everything covered in some form or fashion. The first page is just an introduction, and it kind of provides where we stand on a lot of things. The second page is rights and responsibilities of parents. I took this from some other school districts here in New Mexico that I thought had some good information, and I think it's maybe important that we tell parents, like, hey, this is what we think you are responsible for, and this is the rights that you have as parents in our school. There's a page like that for students. These are things that we will go over in our policies and procedures on the first couple of days to really hit home with the kids so they can understand what they're responsible for and what they have a right to. And then teacher and staff responsibilities. So there's no question about what everybody should be doing. We did add a page of definitions. Again, that was something that we found out a lot of times kids didn't understand what we meant when we said certain things, and parents didn't have an understanding of what we meant when we said certain things.
Well, even when we looked at the matrix versus what was the offense versus what was the punishment,
Right.
there were sometimes it just wasn't equitable.
Right.
It
Well,
just
and-
wasn't matching up.
And like these just definitions, because we will tell a kid something, and like they have a different idea of what suspension versus expulsion versus different things, and we wanted to just, have common language that we're using, so we're all on the same page, and there's not any question about what that meant for some of our kids. We talked about the 3 degrees of suspension, what that looks like, when we're gonna call the police, what it means, arrested, expulsion, service to the school district, positive behavior supports, and progressive discipline, so everybody's on the same page. And then we broke it down, kept our levels from the year before. We worked off of what we previously had, added some definitions and added some things to it so we can do a better job with our kids. Try to be consistent, but try to say, this is how we define things. Are we gonna find issues? Probably, as we use it again. It's one of those things, it's gonna be a living document. As we use things, we're gonna encounter, because in 19 years, kids never cease to amaze me with the crazy things that they can come up with. But horseplay, inappropriate dress, minor disruption in class, what that would look like. Profanity not directed at someone, but just saying a bad word. Being dishonest, actions that disrupt the learning of others, and littering kind of fell into that disruption. And inappropriate public display of affection in the hall without a pass, tardies, cheating and plagiarizing, insubordination, defiance of authority, or showing disrespect towards school personnel. And then level 2 behaviors, the chronic disruptive behavior, chronic level 1 infractions. We did add it on there, continue. If you can keep doing level 1 things, it's going to progress you into, you're being insubordinate, and address that way. Aggressive, hostile, malicious mischief. That would be here at school, and then we also want to include, because of the NSBA rules, that it has to include at school sponsored events, games, things, school activities. If Parker calls somebody on a trip and they lose their mind at an FFA event, then there's discipline associated with that. Use of profanity, vulgarity, verbal harassment of students, what that looks like. Unallowed misuse of electronic devices. And again, that would kind of go back to our cell phone policy. Forgery, we didn't have that on our old one. We haven't seen that before, but doesn't mean that we wouldn't. Inappropriate physical contact. We've dealt with this a lot, and I think that was the one that really that was one that was important to us, because last year we would have kids get into a fight, but it's a one-sided fight. Somebody walks up and punches one kid. Both kids, the way we had it, had to get disciplined. Even the kid that got punched and didn't throw any punches back. And so we thought we needed to have that in there, that, if you're pushing, shoving, bumping, running into, tripping, grabbing another student, school personnel, what that looks like. Inappropriate bus behavior. And the level 2 obstruction, that's an NMSBA one. You can't, obstruction in school investigations, traffic or pedestrians, and parking. Racial aggression, that was one that was left off of last year that we have to have, that is not anything. And those a minor racial aggression is a level 2. You'll see where it gets escalated. Fighting, escalated physical contact, where it's 2 students, and then truancy. Those are all level 2s. Level 3 would be chronic level 2, arson, assault and battery upon school personnel, physical, verbal assault on school personnel, bullying, cyberbullying, harassment, false reporting, and false alarms. That includes setting off the fire alarms without cause, fighting fighting escalated, a level 3 fight, it's gonna be more than 2 kids involved in a fight. There's a bunch of them in a fight. Personal substance abuse, vandalism, sexual harassment, student trespassing. We did one on there, added somewhere in our discipline matrix that if there is a student who is out of school suspended, that they are not allowed to be on school property, and that is something that we tell them, but there's never been anything in writing that like backs us up on that. And then loitering on school property, theft, larceny, extortion, coercion, blackmail, racial aggression, major and blatant racial aggression. And then our level 4s are anything that is going to be most severe. Law enforcement will definitely be involved. They are considered zero tolerance behaviors. Weapons on campus, threats to school safety, distribution of illegal substances, hazing, and any offense that can be potentially charged as a felony. So, I don't know where we want to start, what questions you have.
I'm gonna throw a scenario.
Okay.
I'm gonna go through your
Bring it on, Trevor, bring it on.
Okay, let's say that there's a kid that's on school property after hours, and he's drunk, and they're fighting.
We call the cops.
Does that mean we got 1 day of out of school suspension, you get 3 days, or you get 5 days? Or are you just,
I would say it's
Kick
5.
out.
It's going to be the max because it's one for
But if
everything.
you really think about it,
But is it
that kid is
trespassing?
drunk.
Right.
So
Okay.
he's gonna would have to go that to level 1.
Wouldn't it be a criminal thing?
Well, any offense potentially, and I mean, and that would say like threat to school safety.
So does that like include like, because y'all listed actually this time the physical against
Right.
a teacher?
Right.
Shouldn't that be like on this level?
The other, Parker,
Click the Chrome.
the other schools have it. I just worked off of what we already previously had and how other schools had it listed. Other New Mexico schools had it.
similar schools to?
Yeah, so schools
rural
similar to us,
schools,
rural
same
schools.
size.
Melrose, Cimarron, places that are similar to us in the number of students, number of.
But it's Trevor's scenario with.
Like,
an
well, and I think
after-school
our
activity.
interpretation of it, I've always interpreted, we go to the most extreme, whatever the worst thing is that you get,
Okay.
you're gonna get that punishment. Because I mean, I guess you could tack it all together and
And
now you
then-
have 7 days or
And
6
then
days.
you look at like, okay,
Is this a
is
pattern
this-
of behavior? Is this the
is
first
this
time?
kid
he's-
involved in other activities? Well, then the handbook kicks in and he's supposed to do that.
And their contracts for whatever organizations they're in kick in and those kind of things.
So how are we
Answers
gonna
my
fix
questions.
the scenario of, so a kid gets in trouble, but it's level 1.
Well, then chronic.
Does a level 3 or 4 possession or a fight,
Mhm.
they get that disciplinary, whatever, comes back, does another onesie twosies on the level, like, are you gonna keep going back and forth, or are you?
The way it is,
I don't-
when they pay
I
their
don't
debt
agree
when
with
they
that.
pay their debt the first time, we can't hold it. I mean,
Or
we're
you're not-
supposed to give kids second chances. We're supposed to help them learn from this. We can't, I mean,
Go back to the level 1.
And so, and that's one thing that, we've kind of found as we've gone through this is, these kids just level 1, level 1, level 1, level 1, level 1, okay, we're
And then we're
moving to
like,
level
bam,
2.
level 4.
And then all of a sudden, like, okay, but you've done all this level 1s, it's.
4 comes with a hearing. They have to have a hearing with the administration, and they have that. If they get a 4, it's 10 days in a hearing, and at 4 we can ask them to leave.
Okay, so,
And-
yeah, 4, so what was, like, the possession?
so-
Like, if we have a big issue with that.
Possession
Is that
is a 4.
That is a
Possession's a
4?
3.
Well, it's a 3, but I think.
Unless they're
there's-
distributing.
Yes,
Distribution.
distribution is a 4.
But if
So
they have,
Jennifer, is your question if they have like 6 level 1s and then they commit a level 4, do these ones tack onto that one? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, because
it's going to
so
come up in their hearing.
scenarios, we had kids that, were getting in trouble, did something like super bad, got suspended, came back after the suspension, and then like got caught again with, a level 1 or 2.
Right, they're doing the
But
minor
then
things.
y'all
They're
were like,
disrupting
well,
class.
they only have 2 level 2s, they still have their third offense still like
I think it still works out.
leeway.
Well, and I
Because
think
they're chronic,
But
chronic level 1s are level 2, so they go through every 3 of those fences.
So that's what I mean, you have to go
Chronic
through every
level
level
2.
just to,
And I think that's what
10
this
days.
does is when it helps us is when we look at this, we always pull their discipline record. And it's like, okay, you did a level 1 offense. All right, let's see what you got. Dude, buddy, you were in trouble for level 3 before.
Yeah.
And you're doing all this stupid stuff. That gives us better tools to,
Parker, you were one of those that physical contact,
right,
you know,
But
like,
technically, that was that student's first offense with anything here at school, when he got in trouble with that, was it not?
yes.
So, I mean, he started at level
wasn't he
3.
one that was suspected of distributing and had,
We had no
But
proof.
But
That's-
that's
that's a
the
suspicion
catch right
only.
there, is like,
It was a
uh,
we
suspicion,
can think, we
there
can
was
think
never
him
any
in,
proof.
you know,
There was never any evidence.
I think added parts of this is like if you have a kid who the level 3 or gets in a fight, when you come back and do a behavior contract, in that there's agreement that everybody understands, hey, if this behavior, this continues, this is going to be the consequence at whatever level, then there's that clear communication on the way back when you're re-entering, this is the expectation. And then that gives us some teeth to go, if you're going to continue this, this is where we're at. Now that this happened.
on the flip side, if they do all these 1s and 2s, and all of a sudden they do like a 3 or 4, oh, I'm sorry, are you really sorry? You know, it gives us that,
Well, those are the
that
things that we're gonna consider.
documentation, that support, that guidance, that scaffolding, everything that we need to say, hey, here's our perspective, this is what you've done, where you have no excuse.
And when we get to that hearing side, we can say, okay, you have this rap sheet a mile long, we're done. Like, we're not gonna, I mean, that's how I feel about it.
You mess around, you find out. I think you guys put in a lot of time in my life.
well, because it was a big issue.
Well, and I honestly think that this is some stuff that we're gonna really hammer, and going with our Capturing Kids' Hearts, it gives them a very clear framework. This is what's expected of you, and if you can't do this, then we need to think about some alternatives for you.
One of the good things about that is, you know, they say that they never send a kid to the office, the teachers never sent this kid to the office. But they've gotten in trouble, they've gone to the office because they've chosen that consequence. Well, you know, if we get a kid in the office for a behavior, for disrespect, whatever it is, like they chose to come here off of that consequence. All right, well, let's choose what this consequence looks like. Because if you were saying like, oh, they're mistreating me, they don't understand, well, they ask you those 4 questions, I'm gonna ask you those 4 questions, Cody ask you those 4 questions. What's your consequence gonna be, buddy? You can honestly answer those 4 questions.
Yeah, so. It's a lot, but I think it'll make our job hopefully easier. It gives us some framework, because then occasionally we had a couple parents be like, why are we getting in trouble for this?
I think
There's
that sends a clear message to parents too, though, because they're gonna understand
Well-
like what each category is and where it falls and.
Right.
And that's one thing that we struggled with last year was, well, like what he said, well, why is my kid in trouble? Well,
Well, they
they
could
did
go
this.
here,
Well, what does
and
that
they could go
mean?
here.
Well, now we have clear-cut definitions. This is what it means.
Right.
No,
And this is what it looks like, and these are the consequences, like, and I think if we're clear on it, we do have the acknowledgement that they read it, that the kid signs it, the parent signs it, and we're gonna keep these on file. So we can say, hey, you
What do y'all
know,
do about parents not signing?
so what we did at the middle school last year, and I think it's something that we'll employ, we kept a list, and Carmen, so every day, and then I would start, like, we gave them 3 days, and if you brought your stuff back within the first 3 days, we put all the kids who brought their stuff back in for a little prize drawing, and that kind of incited the kids, hey, I'm really gonna make sure I have all my paperwork back in. And then I had Carmen, I said, make me a list, and I just started calling people and said, hey, your kid doesn't have a discipline thing on file, can you come to school to sign it, can I send another copy home, can I email you a copy, and gave them some options. And then I think there was a couple of them that it took a couple days to get it all back in, but within the first week, we had 100% in our buildings, because we did some of the other little things to get people to comply. And I think if they got to a point where they weren't gonna do it, then we're gonna call them and, hey, we need to have a conversation why we don't have yours on file.
and new students, this is part of their welcome package.
Yeah.
Like, oh, you want to enroll here? Okay, we need X, Y, and Z from you, and you got to sign
Yeah,
this.
this will go out with first day, as soon as it's approved, if you guys are good with it, we'll send it out with their first day of school package, with their nurse health paper and their Daniel's computer use paper and all the other stack of papers that they get the first day.
It's good to me.
What about the fighting one? You're saying 2 or more, so if you do have those ones that are one-sided,
So
Are
the
you just gonna
one-sided,
go-
so like, for example, last year, my child was in the locker room and got punched in the face. He got a day of ISS, and the boy who punched him got a day of ISS. This would be the thing, him getting punched wouldn't require him to do a day of ISS.
Okay.
Because, and that
Unless
was-
he punches back.
unless he punches back,
Yeah.
if he punches back, then he's,
Yes.
yeah, then but the one-sided things, we had people like girls, for whatever reason, they want to knock into each other in the hallway to be dominant or whatever they do. That would give us some stuff to we had some girls that cannot keep their hands to themselves. They want to, come up behind the boys and smack them on the back of the head. So it gives us some things to, not everything's a fight, but the things that are fights we want to handle as a fight and those
We want to
consequences.
address it and give a little bit more teeth and just like knock it out. It's not, I think last year's mostly horseplay is what we could call
We had
it.
a lot of things that would start, but we know that horseplay will escalate into a fight if we don't address it. Middle school seems to have more of that than high school.
But, I mean, there were a couple instances last year where.
Well, kudos to both of you and the team, because this is a lot of work, and in reality, everything that was on the first one, it's on this one. Plus,
With the definitions and some
And then
clarity.
with the definitions, that's why you think, oh my gosh, it's a huge package, but it's.
You are
just-
not nice, Parker. That was not cool.
Where'd it go?
Moving things around.
Hey, it's
No other
the
questions?
digital now.
Motion.
Make the motion. I'll second.
Yeah.
Right.
Aye. Approved. Next one is.
So you have your handbook? You have your handbook, or do you want me to? Since I'm here, can I do
Go
mine?
ahead, go ahead, knock it out.
Do you mind if we do the handbook since
I was hoping you
Parker?
you were talking, I was hoping I'd have it up in front of you.
So if you just, the cover pages, added some stuff, felt like it was a good idea to put some contact numbers on there for people who may need to find a phone number. We will add a letter from Coach and I here when we get ready for that. This is straight from, I think you already had this. We wanted this list of general rules just because if the kids only read this far, they would still know the very basic things that we stand for. And what we expect, and then it gets into the thick of it later on in the book. Add all of our list of personnel here in case there's a question of who does what here. Did not add the EA list just because that changes a little bit more than hopefully the teaching list does. We'll add the name to the class sponsors. I haven't gotten that added in there yet. And then activity sponsors or organizations so kids can, if they have an interest in one of these things, they can get involved in that. And then table of contents, I will have to update it because some of the pages have changed. I just didn't, it's not 100% correct. But I wanted to make sure we had everything where we wanted to. The introduction, mission statement, vision, conceptual framework, same from the old book. This is our attendance policy. This is, Coach and I would agree, think that this is the most important thing. This is our big, attendance is one of our main goals for the coming year. This is one of our biggest struggles, where we're taking a hit on some of our ratings from the state. And so we really got to do some stuff to, and we're not the only school looking at this. I talked to the assistant principal at our teacher high school this afternoon, and they are going through the same 10-day thing that we're proposing. And so high school students, it's a little bit easier. It has a little more, they have a little more to lose because they would lose credit after 10 days. And then middle school students, if they have chronic 10-day absences, they would lose a letter grade, which hopefully that would be motivation enough for the kids, but we got to do something. Talks about what compulsory attendance is. If we have more than 10 days in a school year, definitions, what it means to be absent, what it means to be tardy, how the notification process needs to work. And then we really want to hammer, this is our new attendance policy. Like we're going to have to, we know that we're going to have to really put the effort into letting parents know and kids know, because if we wait till somebody gets to the 10 days, they're going to say, well, I never knew about this, or when did we get this rule? Well, we've had this rule. So, I mean, as soon as we get it approved, or if this is approved, we will start getting the message out and say, hey, just be aware, this is coming. And when we have orientation on Thursday night, when we have teachers back, when we have people back, I mean, and lots of things, we're really.
Do y'all have an assembly or something?
We will have an assembly the first day. And we've got a lot of things. Oh yeah, and we're gonna hear it. We want to put it on the website. We really want people to understand. So attendance for credit, how we're gonna notify letters mailed home if they're not picked up at the time of registration, scheduling. We will, we might be a little bit behind, but we will get this out, put on the school website, and then if they sign the handbook, they acknowledge that they've seen it at least 3 times. When we reach these points, what our interventions for this would look like, at 3 absences, the building secretary will call the parents and guardians and say, hey, your kids reached 3 absences. Just a reminder, we do have an attendance policy. At 5 absence, the dean of students, Coach Rodriguez, will schedule a meeting with the parents so they can discuss attendance. And we can try to stop it at 5. And when we get to 7, then I will meet with them and we will create an attendance, put somebody on an attendance contract at 7. We're not going to let it get to 10 because that would still give them a little bit. If they reach 10, we're going to notify the student and the parent that they have lost credit, and then we have to go to the next one. After the 10th absence or at the 10th absence, they get a written notice. They can petition for reinstatement of their credit and, bring us the reason why they have the absences that they have. Attendance review committee, what that would look like, and consider what caused this to be an issue. Why did those other interventions not work? That kind of thing, and how we would handle that. We wanted to know that if you transfer into the district or if you're a migrant student, only while you're enrolled in the district do your absences, will you incur absences. And then if the committee reaches consensus, then they will, make sure that it's in the best interest of the kid, whatever decision is made. Later, how we're going to handle late arrivals and tardies. They got to check in at the office and then they get a pass. And last year, Coach, we really implemented a first and second hour. The problem we saw, our first hour, what we saw is the high school kids, we never used it at the middle school, the high school kids that got wise, they started saying, well, I'm just going to come second hour and then I'll have to go to ISS for first hour. I think we have it where we can almost have ISS first and second hour this coming year with our schedule that we have built. So we may be able to do that and handle that a little bit differently. You have to get signed out. Kids can't leave campus or they will be truant. What an excused absence looks like. You're allowed 4 excused absences or documented absences. Going to the doctor, going to court, having illness or injury, but you have to have a doctor's note to go with it. And then unexpected injuries or unexpected emergencies. Those will all count under the excused. And a planned absence, we said that kids could have 2 planned absences if they call ahead of time. And whatever that planned absence looks like. But it does not require documentation as long as they call before. And then official absences, school sponsors or supported extracurricular activities, events, trips, sports, club competitions, one of the stock shows, those kind of things, pre-approved educational activities, and then what an unexcused absences that we don't know where you're at, we don't know if you're sick, nobody calls in, that we don't, or an in-school violation that results in them being suspended, that would count as an unexcused absence. And then it says any absence that is verified by a parent, not determined as excused absence, would also be unexcused. And kids can't learn if they're not here at school. We have wanted to propose an incentive for those kids who really get a hold of this and say, hey, if I show up to school, that's just half of it, or a big part of being successful. If they have their 2.5 GPA, they don't have any failing grades, they have no absences. We propose a no zeros heroes, 0 absences, 0 tardies, no missing work, final exam for whatever class. So we show every school, for some of those kids, especially seniors, I think that would speak to them if they knew that they could guarantee themselves 100% on DEEG's final without taking the final. That might be a reason enough to come to school every day.
Is it just for one class?
For a class. So like if they decided afternoon I'm not going to Parker's class, if they have 10 or 7 absences in Parker's class, they don't qualify for that. But if they have that would qualify for that. It would be on a per class situation.
And if the teacher's okay with that?
Yeah, Dink is the hardest sell, and she was the one that said absolutely put that in there. She was down for it. So I hope all the other new teachers, they haven't seen it yet, so I hope that they would be okay with it as well.
I will say as a teacher, this was a big push from all the other teachers.
On the committee that worked on this, because this wasn't just Coach and I. Dink, Mr. Parker, Daniel sat in on it with us. Mr. Brown, when he was here, sat in on it. There was a lot of people who had some voice and lent their ideas to it. 1 to 4 absences, 0 to 4 tardies, no missing work, they could still get a 90. Some of our kids, that would be reason enough, I think, to really encourage better attendance. On a per class basis, they can be excused from attendance during the final exam. So if we had a final 10, you don't have to come to school while we're taking the final, because that would be also a thing. The only people we can't do this for is if it's a dual credit class or an honors class, because that has a different, they're not eligible for final exam exemptions. And then also, obviously school sponsored activities don't count towards total number of absences, but all others, regardless of their documentation, work. And then we have a little statement in here reminding students who are involved in activities that if they are involved in an evening activity, they are expected to be at school the next day. If they're homesick during the school day, they are not allowed to come to whatever after-school activity there would be. That includes showing up to practice, coming to Parker's, whatever it is. In order to attend practice or attend an event, you have to be present at 51% of the school day. That does not count if Parker hauls kids to a judging contest and then we come home or bring some kids home to run track that afternoon. That doesn't fall into 51%. That does cover the kids that are not, just, I'm gonna stay home because I'm tired and I don't want to be in school until whatever time. That would be that statement. And then only make up missed work for excused absences, and to make that kind of becomes a student responsibility. These are the things that we kind of thought were important for enrolling and withdrawing in the school.
I have a question
Yes,
about that part. So I think we had students that were missing a lot of days, and obviously it was like parents that weren't bringing them to school, so I had a couple issues. Are you still not going to let them make up those, even though it's clearly parents that weren't like replying to our calls and our visits, our house visits, and it was clearly them not bringing their kids?
Okay, which one are you?
We're talking about making up for excused absences only.
For excused, now, it's a doctor's,
Mhm.
anything,
Anything school sponsored.
yes.
Those
And
other
I
ones
get that.
become
Remember
unverified.
We had a couple of students that weren't showing up, and then when we kind of investigated, it was because like the parents just weren't bringing them to school or had them home. Are we still gonna not let them?
I think we have to have some teeth in it,
You
otherwise,
gotta have some teeth.
I don't know how you manage that portion of it.
yeah, we can't make people be good parents, unfortunately.
Well, and that's the only thing, I'm like, if it's the parents' issue, and we can't make them be
Well,
good
then
parents.
then I'm not doing my job and not calling CYFD if it's that big, serious of an issue, the way I look at it.
Right.
And this year, it's one of our initiatives. I mean, the high school, although for the past 3 years, we've had a good graduation rate, with, I believe, a 4-year graduation rate, we started with 63%. Right now, I believe we are at 89, so we have improved, but we are still considered CSI, which it's a school of improvement. So we need to improve our attendance and our graduation. And the only way we're going to improve graduation is by improving the attendance. So definitely, we need to do something. We have to do something. And this is not the only thing that we, that's in the planning stage. I mean, we're also trying to get an attendance liaison, so that person could be able to contact the parents daily. It's very unfair that the students get checked out because they have to go get a haircut. I mean, really, I think we need to educate the parents with this also. And,
Well, I think Coach and I both had made the comment the other day, we've heard so many kids, I never came to school at all, and I still graduated. I don't want our kids to have that attitude, that's okay, but it's okay to be mediocre and okay to not take care of business.
so right now, I believe our attendance rate for this is school-wide, it's 53%. It needs to be at least 90%. That is extremely low. And I'm gonna use the elementary. At the elementary, we have so many kids because, Jolene and I, we would look at them and they would be coming in at 8:30, 9 o'clock in the morning. So this is where the attendance liaison, as well as the principal, will need to make sure we put a stop to that. And we have to, I know that the little kids, it's not their fault because, their parents bring them. But if we start something, believe me, we will cut that immediately. Well, maybe not.
And we're gonna get some pushback, and people are gonna be mad, and they're not gonna understand, because they're gonna use their favorite line, this is just Hagerman, why do we have to be like this? This is Hagerman. We gotta be better, we've gotta do better for our kids.
One question. So we're gonna co-op with Lake Arthur for football.
Yes.
So how does that, are we gonna be in contact with them at like any of those kiddos?
Or like the 51%, is that the question?
Yeah, so are you gonna call?
Holding them accountable?
Yeah.
That's a good question. I will check with their AD and see if they have a policy in place.
And I'm sure they do.
I know there's nothing we can control over there, like we have to follow our handbook to a certain extent, but then when it goes to that realm, I'm sure. But I'll contact the AD and see what they have in place.
So what about like the half days, like for the holidays and stuff, like?
Or like when we have early release days?
Yeah.
then you have,
Yeah, half
yeah,
those kids don't even.
well, then you better come because you're gonna count against your 10 days.
Okay, and this is
Gotta-
just
gotta
an
do for
example,
that.
because my daughter is one that will not miss. And I've had staff say, why do you come? It's just a half day.
Well, we're gonna have to change the staff
So we
attitude on
gotta
that.
change that mentality, because, yes,
No, because if we're counting attendance and we're holding people to these 10 days, that don't come to school thing is gonna have to stop. Right. And in the same token, we have the kids say, I'm not gonna go, it's just a half day. Well, you better come or you're taking one of your days away from yourself.
you know,
So-
we have so many kids, like, for example, if we have a career day, then the kids say, oh, I'm not going.
Yeah.
And they don't come. Okay.
State's always the big thing. So if we have like kids, the teens that are gone and they're like, oh, there's not gonna be at school anyways.
We're
It's just
gonna-
a fun day. We're just gonna be in the gym all day.
Again, I think this is gonna help because then, you have that ticker, like, if they don't wanna come on state days, they better save up their other days. Like, if I have a cough, mom, I gotta go to school.
Yeah.
I'm saving up
I
that
ain't
one
going
day
grocery
for that
shopping with
state
you
day.
'cause-
But then, at the same time, you have an incentive to be at school. If I show up, I can reduce, the chance of me actually having to take a test where I get a good grade.
Mhm.
And then one thing that we've kind of thrown around is going with this capturing kids' hearts. It's like to create a team, like a squad. I know Mark's going to do something elementary with houses where you get points. It's a competition. And one thing we've talked about is, hey, those PD days, you show up, you get 5 points for your team. If your other guys don't show up, like you can win without having to win. Just show up,
But like, and if your whole team shows up, there's an incentive
Yeah,
for
exactly.
everybody in your team or your house showing up that day. So we're really trying to breed and cultivate a more, like a competitive community, but also a sense of community where these kids are working together to do something and accomplish something together. Any other questions? Enrollment withdrawal with our thing, out of district kids, and I kind of encountered this today. We had a young lady call, her parents called out enrolling. We really want, and we had a conversation with our building secretaries. In the past, we've allowed kids to come in and it's like, oh, you're here? Okay, cool. Let's get you a schedule and go to class. We want to take our time and understand who we're letting in, especially for our out of district students or our new students. Spend some time, make some phone calls. Let's ask some
background,
questions.
right?
Yeah, ask some questions before we just say yes to everyone. I mean, obviously, if they're in our district, we have to provide those services, but we have other kids coming from other places sometimes. Sometimes for reasons that we don't know until we've already got them here, and it's like, dang, we probably should have thought this through a little bit better. But by that point, we're already, so these are the things that we're gonna do, and what we wanna know. Out of district students are obviously still responsible for their own transportation, all that kind of stuff, and then bus transportation. This is kind of want to clarify and make people understand, because we do see some discipline that comes off the buses. And want that to be a safe place for everybody on the bus. That kind of thing, just clarify, talk about coming to school, getting to school, closed campus, verbal schools. What happens to, if you're getting to school late, if we have visitors coming to school, inclement weather and emergencies, kind of the standard thing, I don't think we've changed anything there. Standards of dress and personal presentation. The last time I looked at this, it was a concern because I worked off of an old copy. I went back and made sure we're in the current copy that has the right stuff in it. We did, while they're on campus and attending a school-sponsored event or activity, because we've had people come to games and things that are quite questionable sometimes. Some young ladies who are getting very bold in their dress, but we'd like to say, hey, it's still school grounds, it's still a school-sponsored activity. We're gonna have to ask you to conform to our thing or whatever. And we'll talk about this. It doesn't, what?
What about adults?
I can't do anything about somebody's mama coming in crazy clothes, I guess. Hopefully one of Hagerman's finest is here and they can escort them off. I don't know. But if we're gonna ask kids to change clothes, and that we did outline that in the discipline matrix, how that would dress code, because that is something that we deal with probably once a week in here. When at the start of school and at the end of school, it usually becomes a bigger deal because they're still wanting to wear summer clothes and they're wanting to wear things that they wore all summer. Or at the end of the school year, and you guys probably see some elementary too, they have outgrown the summer clothes that they had from the start of school, and the shorts are much shorter and things are much tighter and all kinds of things happen. So things that we just kind of wanted to do. Here, we did correct, there was, originally it said 8 inches above the knee, Miss Reyes, and I did a measurement, and that is not, 8 inches above the knee is not good for anybody. So we said 3 inches above the knee, just so it matches. If the holes in their jeans for Holy jeans can't be more than 3 inches above their knees, then their skirts and shorts can't be more than 3 inches above their knees. Unfortunately, for long-armed, long-legged people, that could be a challenge in shopping, but no pajamas, no blankets worn as body coverings. The game days, it's in there, it said warm-ups. I don't know that we still wear warm-ups. That's not, but I said, we just rephrase it, say required team attire. So whatever you as coach want to put, or coach, if they're going to wear cheer uniforms to school, we will let that, cheer uniforms and jersey. What I really don't want to see is volleyball shorts worn to school, and I've seen that a couple of times, and I don't like to have to address that because it's not fun for any of us. Spandex shorts, leggings,
But
tights.
are we gonna change that because their actual uniform is that?
Right. Well, and that's fine. Like, so they can wear this. So on game days, if they want to wear that
To
to
the
school,
school.
they
To
can,
class.
yeah,
Like
cheer uniforms, or like the boys wearing their football jerseys on game day, because it says we're no game uniforms during the day. Obviously, cheer uniforms during game days, and if the boys want to wear their jersey, that would be acceptable. Nobody should wear their whole basketball uniform. I have a 7th grade boy who probably would have worn his basketball uniform to school if I would have allowed that. So I think that unless you want to clarify, and I'm happy to clarify it however you want. And sometimes if your girls just wear their like cheer top with their leggings, or not leggings, but like sweats or whatever.
So the sweats will still be allowed.
Sweats are allowed. Sweats are they're not unallowed. Team attire, yeah. Whatever your team attire is. Like I said, the biggest thing about we're trying to prevent people from wearing their actual like basketball jersey with a t-shirt under it. The girls wearing their spandex volleyball shorts, those kind of things. I don't know what's attractive. They're not wearing those unitards anymore. So yeah, no, none of that at school, please. Spandex shorts, yoga pants, those things they can wear them, but not by themselves, and they have to have a shirt or jacket covering that's at least fingertip in length.
Are the spandex shorts allowed for PE?
No, they are not allowed for PE.
Not sold.
Well, no, they don't even. Well, that was a battle we got a lot of rounds with, especially middle school girls wanting to wear the spandex shorts for PE.
So right now, A-Rod and I were kind of working on trying to get, I know in the past, we always had them, I don't know here, but anyways, we're trying to get PE attire.
PE uniforms.
And it would be, they're kind of expensive. The quote was about $5,000, and I don't know, we're just gonna have to see where we can find that money, or possibly start with less A-Rod.
Was it?
What about
It was like-
volleyball practice?
Did you look at the whole thing or?
During athletics,
Well,
as a
sent
coach,
the-
you can do that. But if they walk out of there,
For
like if
just
they
the
decide, oh, I'm not
last
going to
two.
change clothes after athletics, I'm going to go roam the halls, I'm going to write them up.
So as long as they're in the gym.
In the gym, engage in their sport, not PE class, but engage in their sport, then they can wear whatever you want them to wear.
So isn't our high school, don't they have their PE at 7th hour so that it goes
No,
into practice?
athletics is, well,
You look at the whole.
we have, middle school will have athletics first period and high school will have
stuff
athletics
is
7th period.
gonna be-
So,
So this only applies to middle school then?
well, this only applies to like actual coach G taught PE classes. So
Oh,
like,
okay, so-
if it's done with your coach, I'm gonna let the coaches handle their business. And so,
Because I just asked him for like typical.
Yeah, because I saw the whole quote, and I'm like, whoa,
Yeah,
this is a lot of money.
that was for all basketball, kids stuff,
Yeah, let's do it separate.
races, stuff like that.
I think when I looked at it and just pulled the uniforms off, it's about 25
Yeah.
for just
that's what
uniform.
it's-
And that would be 200 uniforms. I don't know, that would almost give every child in the school,
Okay.
secondary school.
Well,
You're
that's
gonna
what,
lose
that's what I was thinking.
And, well, and we don't
Then-
have,
then you
PE is
could
not
pay
as
for-
many,
yeah.
there's not as many kids in PE this year, but pick up thing. Tank tops, muscle shirts, something, and I don't have it in here, but I think we need to, and we'll have to hit on, is that applies to boys and girls. Boys are wanting to wear muscle shirts, and if it's not okay for the girls to wear a muscle shirt. And I had a little boy last year in the elementary tell me, well, it's 3 fingers wide, and I'm like, that's not a boy argument, but thank you for throwing that as an appropriate argument to make with me. But,
So that's not the.
Cody, for time
No.
purposes, can you discuss just, because everything
Yeah.
else is pretty much the whole.
no sunglasses, and no head coverings during the buildings, during school hours and assemblies. Gotta wear shoes, dress code violations, what we would do, this mirrors the discipline matrix that you just, matched. Academics, I had Tara, look through the academic stuff. We did a part of academic integrity, grades, GPAs. None of this has changed. Honor rolls, we did define what the honor rolls look like. How you get a grade change is the same as before. Earning college credit, dual credits, AP, graduation requirements. Again, Tara looked over this. These are the tests that had to be updated because we don't give some of the tests that was in our old one. How you find out if you're valedictorian, salutatorian, progress reports. We did add the calendar for grading periods so parents would know when those are going to happen and if they don't have to look at the big calendar. Extracurriculars, added what those are and how you get involved in those different things. Scholastic eligibility, mirroring NMAA. Something that may not have been, and Coach, would you remind?
You ran away.
You ran away. We had in it that in order to be eligible during their senior year, students have to come into their senior year with at least 18 credits. That would mean that they're on track to graduate for their senior year. In the past, we've had some young people be way off track to graduate, but they played 3 sports and they still were in a mess by the time they got to the end of their senior year. And so I don't know how we feel about that. And I don't I would like Coach to be here because that's more of his department. But if we're okay with it, we will leave it there and make sure that our kids are on track to graduate because it doesn't seem like a very, in my opinion, not a wise pursuit to be playing football, basketball, and knowing that you're going to have to do 6 credit recovery classes if you plan on graduating. I don't feel like we're doing our kids a service in that way.
So it's no Fs allowed to play sports either?
Yeah, that's an NMAA rule. That's not our rule. And that if they're eligible at the beginning of the semester, the grades most immediately completed can be reviewed. Middle school and freshmen cannot use a cumulative provision. That's an NMAA thing. Sophomores and up, if they have a bad GPA one semester, they can look at their cumulative GPA over their career of their high school and they can get themselves out for a semester. I think they can only use that one time. And so it's like one time you've made a mistake. Other eligibility things, this is just what was already there. Lettering, how you want, if you want to be a BPA, if you want to be an FFA. Homecoming, we wanted to clarify this because we experienced this last year. That homecoming is once a year during football. Classes can nominate 3 senior boys, 3 senior girls, one boy and one girl from grades 9 through 11. And nominations, we would like, so this came out as a committee. Nominations based on GPA, behavior and attendance, and then the student body would still get to vote. But like we could have kind of a vetting process because sometimes we've had people on the court that are not even eligible to participate in anything else here at school, but they're finding their way onto the court. And they felt like that should be an honor. And then Mr. and Miss HHS, what that looks like. So kids, if that's something they aspire to and want to work towards, they know how to do that. This is all the same. We did not change any of this. Nothing has changed here. This is all the same. Something that we said is that if you're suspended out of school, in school you can make up your work. Out of school, you're taking zeros for that because we felt like there needs to be some more accountability. Coach, real quick, since you're back in here, we talked about the part in the academic eligibility that if they get to their senior year and they don't have 18 credits, they're not considered eligible. Is that something we want to stand by so they're on track to graduate? Or I don't want to hurt anybody's athletic, but also I don't think we're doing our kids a service if we're doing that.
On this no makeup of work if they're suspended, did we look into that and make sure that we are able to say, hey, we're not giving you work, you're just taking a 0, or?
So we looked into it and there's kind of mixed feelings with this, and we're trying to avoid that kids just get suspended and they say, well, guess what, I can make up the work. And
well, chances are that most of the time, the kids that are suspended most often, they're not doing any work here, and they're not going to do. I don't care how much work we send home with them; they're not doing that either. I don't know that we've ever had very many come out of that. Can you think of any that have ever been suspended that just come back with all their work done? And
Well, I just wanted to make sure by like pet or something, a parent can't go
above us
and say, hey, they're doing this. Is this, to come back on this week?
I think the only hiccup is with the special ed that are receiving services.
Well, and then that would be a discipline issue, different discipline issue altogether, correct? And then drug-free campus, weapons in school, search and seizure. We did bold on there that it said reasonable suspicion that we would search you, and drug dogs and other things could be used in searches. Those were in there already, we just bolded them and underlined them so they're aware. Due process, nothing's changed. Grievances, technology use. We did take on there because it was old and it said that you couldn't take it home, but if we were giving our high school and middle school students one-to-one Chromebooks, they should be able to take them home. And it's already talked in there about them being responsible for their devices and that kind of thing. Sexual harassment, all that didn't change. That's all the same, non-discrimination. We did add definitions for everything pretty much that they could ever have a question about.
Then we need to add the attendance policy.
It's into the definitions.
Not the definitions, but the attendance policy itself, that was from last year. Just put it towards the end of the.
Cell phone policy.
The cell phone policy.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, no, yeah, I know that we
Where you
proposed.
been, Rez?
I've been, thinking of attendance.
And I know we proposed changes to the cell phone policy, but we're fine to move forward with what we have. Give it a chance to work or not work, and then if we need to come back and revisit it later, I think we're comfortable as a staff doing that, so. I think that's it. All that, there are a lot of definitions.
You didn't touch base on the backpack. I saw that on Facebook.
We're not gonna do backpacks, and I don't know where do we, and I don't know if it says it in
I
here.
don't think it's on there.
It may be in our on the very, if it's on the very first
Why are
page,
we not doing backpacks?
safety. They can carry lots of stuff, but it's, and a lot of there's not, when we get a bunch of kids in a room, backpacks are all over the floor. It becomes a safety exiting and entering.
You're saying no backpacks to take
So-
them to your class?
Yeah, so like you can bring your backpack to school.
Okay.
And this year in the middle school,
Yeah.
in the
just
middle
have to
school,
leave it.
I've had Maddie assign every student in the middle school 2 lockers, a top locker and a bottom locker. So
Okay.
they
Yeah,
have a
no, on
locker for
Facebook
their
it just
stuff.
said, like, reminder, no backpacks.
No backpacks. Well, and, yeah, and I guess some schools in our area have gone to clear backpacks only.
Okay.
Some people have the same backpack. I think, and if we on there, and I can add it to this list if you would like it on there, like, no backpacks
Or,
brought.
yeah, just clarity, I guess.
Yeah, just, well, and I will add that to that front page.
Girls know where
I just
sit.
worry about girls with feminine products, like, that's my worry that they can't
Yeah.
carry that stuff like them.
Doesn't say anything about a pencil bag or a purse. I mean, we don't have rules against that.
A lot of our high school girls, I've seen them.
I just think once you say the girls can bring a purse, then the boys are gonna be bringing bags and say it's a purse.
It's gonna be the return.
Well, the other thing that we dealt with is, but they all have their computer bags.
Yes.
So.
The return of the fanny pack.
The fanny bags have been back there. What
I
do
was
they call
like,
now? Bum
guys are wearing
bags or
those
sling bags or
crossbody
whatever.
bags now, so.
Yeah, well, they all have like little string bags and stuff.
They
The
can bring it,
merce.
but they have to leave it in their locker, correct?
Their backpacks and their sports bags, we want them, those things not.
They just
Toted
have
around
to
there.
stay in their locker.
Okay.
Yes. Well, and here in the middle school, last year we had the hallway cluttered and like it got to kind of like doorways
Yeah, it'd
blocked
always
and
be
stuff.
like an entryway.
And so
or
like we've
something.
got to work on, that's another thing that we're gonna
What
work
if you
on.
assign 2 lockers?
If they have 2 lockers, it should have a place even, the hardest part is during football season when they have a helmet and pads. We don't always have a place big enough to accommodate that, but I don't know how many football players.
I will say as a teacher, it is really nice to walk through your classroom and
Not
not trip.
tripping over stuff.
And
Well,
I'm
didn't
I'm
Miss
in
Mahan
tripping
break
hazard
her
right now.
arm? Didn't somebody in the elementary break their arm one time? Trip with, is it Mahan? That broke their arm, or somebody broke their arm or leg or something?
I slept since then.
I don't know. I really thought that in the elementary, somebody tripped over somebody's jump.
She didn't, Lori didn't.
So, but I can add the backpacks to this very first page and clean it up. But any other questions, concerns, anything you don't like? I mean, it's a lot, I know.
And then tomorrow I will contact MSBA just to make sure that we are okay with
That we're clear to not.
your question.
And I think that would be another incentive. Hey, act right here at school because you're going to get a whole bunch of zeros and it's going to make it even harder to do what you do.
But Cody, attendance, is it, I think I heard you say, is it based off semester?
It's 10 for the
10
semester.
for the semester?
10 for the- Just
I
like,
was just thinking like Riley's orthodontist.
well, those wouldn't count. Those wouldn't necessarily count against her because she has 4.
Okay,
And so even if she had one in August, September, October, I mean, surely, I mean.
and we try to schedule them outside, but I just.
Right, no, I understand. I mean,
It is.
there's some,
That's 10
And
months,
it's,
10.
it's for her, her class, because she'd probably come first hour, second hour, take her back by 5th, 6th. Usually.
And then I know like Riley had like 10 absences last year where they didn't get marked correctly from sports. Are we gonna make sure?
So
We're working really hard on
we
that.
definitely need to make sure, and I honestly, I really think that our attendance issue, that's why we're so low, is because they haven't been coded correctly.
Because I know Riley had missed only like 1 or 2 days of school and she had like 10.
You got the letter now, huh?
Brandon.
Same.
Yeah,
It was
so,
for ag, she was going for ag, and she's like, Mom, I don't miss anything, and I didn't get all that for her.
I know that's something as the advisor I've started going through and making sure it was put into synergy right, and if it wasn't, emailing us.
and Daniel is helping us with that, so we can make sure that we are coding them correctly, because I really think 53% as a school-wide, it's extremely low.
But it may not be an accurate picture either, but we
Well,
are
and the
learning more
way-
about synergy.
The way that they do it at Vistas, it's the number of students who've been here, I think it's 85 or 90% of their
90,
days.
90
So 53% of our students
have been
have
here,
been here for like 90% of their days.
but it's still pretty low.
It is still low.
But it still doesn't look good. I mean,
Yeah.
I still don't want it, just half of our kids being here most of the time.
Right. but it's-
Last meeting, didn't you mention somebody that was just gonna kind of just do that part of it?
So that's what I want to do. So right now, I do have Mrs. Parra. So Mrs. Parra is actually doing the migrant. She's gonna be the new migrant liaison. And we only have about 8 students right now.
Program.
Correct. So she can service those kids in the morning. So that leaves the afternoon, she's gonna do community schools. Part of community schools is the attendance.
Oh,
So
okay.
she's gonna be able to tackle that too. And we don't have, something for her to do for community schools, paperwork every day, so she'll be able to do that. I wanted to bring somebody and be able for that person to do just that, but I think for
And she's
now,
gonna do for all the schools?
she's gonna do it for all the schools. So if, at the elementary, if they have a chronic, student that it's always tardy, absent, then we definitely need to make sure. If we need to create, call the parents, because sometimes maybe there's an issue going on. So how can we help them? Maybe it's whatever it is. And if we don't know, but I think the parents need to know that we are there and we are looking at this.
And we have that other, what is it, is it Engaged? I don't have to think it's Engaged New Mexico, that also will help with some of that.
But again, like I say, it's going to be up to the secretaries, the attendance liaison, the principals, everybody working together to make sure that we are all on the same page and, making phone calls, letters, et cetera, whatever it takes. But I think we need to change the mentality.
Looks good.
Thank you.
I think it's really good. Appreciate it.
I have one question.
Yes, sir.
It's about the grading scale. I want to say that our other handbook, it was higher than a 4.0.
You can't have a 5.0, you can have if you take a dual credit class,
That's where you can get.
that's how you get, an A is worth 5 points, a B is worth 4, that kind of thing. But, and I can add that back in there, it may have been in there when we just putting it up, but it didn't.
And I think you do need to
Talk about
because we do have a lot of classes this year that are actually dual credits. So
That's
Or
tomorrow when I
a
want
4.0 scale though, right?
we have 4,
some of them are 5.0.
yeah, all the dual credit classes, an A counts as a 5.
So your dual credit, if an A is a 5, so then you would get a 5 on that class, but then it gets averaged all together.
Correct.
And so that's where you get like a 4.3, if I only have like 1 or 2
Okay.
dual credits for AP classes, which becomes a big deal once you get into scholarships and acceptance and all that kind of stuff as you're moving on to college.
Okay. So we're still on that scale.
Yes, still a 4.0 scale, you can earn 5 points if you're doing those other classes.
Okay.
Honors.
On, yeah. So, okay, that's all I have.
That's one question.
You're good.
All right, elementary handbook real quick. There's some minor changes. Most of it's pretty common to last year. We are going to dismiss at 3 because secondary is going later until like 3:15 for kids that have the bus. If not, then we could benefit from more instructional time. If we're not in instructions, it's going to be daycare. I'd much rather do instruction. So. Dress code, a little bit there, that's kind of adjusted. We met with the staff last year on the dress code, and really it became an issue in the spring. Once again, clothes that fit in the fall don't fit the same way in the spring. Sisters hand-me-downs come to you, and we got other stuff. So there's there. talks about the shorts and the skirts. Shirts not extending to the belt loop was kind of the other thing that hit there. So, no cell phones, communication, notification. We'll talk about the behavior matrix, and then I'll talk about the last thing that's in here, that the new thing that we're excited about. One of the things we changed the title of it just so it's kind of clearer. This is behavior matrix of like if an office referral, they come to my office. Teachers are handling discipline in their class, but when they come to me, this is how we're going to progress. Our level ones have bumped up as far as first one, you have parent contact and a reflective assignment. What did you choose to do? How do you think that made that person feel? What behavior can we choose next? And then we have a form, Ms. Rodriguez had one that we use pretty regularly, and then they give it to that kid, and typically with apology and stuff like that. So you'll see we added a behavior contract there at level 1, consequences continue. And then on the bottom with level 2, we have a parent contact the first time, but then it progresses from there. One thing I realized that I needed to add, and we talked about it when we met with the leadership team on it, is in level 3, we need to add the racial aggression piece of it. As far as, kid makes a racial comment or a racial gesture, that those are going to automatically be level 3. The other thing we added is kind of an asterisk there on level 3 and level 4. Administration retains the right to contact law enforcement for level 3, level 4 offenses if they deem that as necessary to address the behavior if it's severe enough on that. But really, other than that, this is pretty much the same as what we did last year. We're also in a different boat. We don't also have all the stuff that happens at secondary level from a behavior standpoint and stuff. So the last thing is a house system. We've done PBIS in the previous years. We're going to implement a house system, which gives us a little bit more teeth, makes it competitive. To give you a reference, think of Harry Potter and how they have the houses in Harry Potter. It's a similar deal and stuff. So there'll be house points. Our Bobcat Bucks will become house points. And there's an app that we're purchasing that'll keep it all and track it. If a teacher gives a house point, then parents will get notified. But kids will be sorted on the second day of school into houses. All of our staff are going to be sorted into houses. And really just to build a community, we're going to do social emotional learning. We're going to do accountability through there from students. We're going to do student leadership as well with that. On half days, we're going to do competitions. On Fridays, we'll do some competitions, send it for attendance and stuff. So this comes from Ron Clark Academy in Atlanta. And then this past year, over the last couple of years, more and more schools are implementing it here in New Mexico and really just seeing a really, really good impact on the culture of the school, student accountability of the school, and just student leadership there. So we're excited. It's going to, take our PBIS and put it on steroids. So I'm excited to see our kids kind of really buy into it, especially our 5th grade class. I think are going to really love the competitive aspect of it and stuff. So there'll be more on that as it kind of rolls out and stuff. So let's answer any questions.
Any questions? I don't know if this is part of it. So you're letting them out at 3?
Mm-hmm. Well, that's when we'll start dismissal.
Okay.
So that's when drive line will start, parents, all that stuff will go. The buses, what time did the bus is going to get here? About 3:15?
Yeah, 3:15, yes.
Yeah. So then the bus kids, we'll keep them and dismiss. We started dismissing in the second semester from the auditorium, which made especially parent drive line a whole lot quicker. So that, 90-95% of our parents were gone once secondary dismissed. So it wasn't as dangerous because secondary kids don't pay attention when they walk across the street. And stuff, and so,
Or use a crosswalk.
or use it.
This is,
Half the staff doesn't even.
It might be a little bit off topic with the, but is the bus or the pickup, is that still gonna be the same up here in
The
the
same
front?
route.
So, yes, so actually, we really don't want to, it needs to be changed, but we decided not to. So what we're gonna do, because, of course, we have a new school coming up, et cetera, 7 years from now. But, so what we are going to do different this year, we will continue having the parent people, this street here. The only thing is that we will not allow anybody, no staff will be parked, on the roadway. That way, parents can use both lanes. And there's no vehicles there, so we will need to make sure that we implement that day one. So no staff will be parked on either side. And that way,
Special parents came up.
then they could use more towards the high school area, where they can kind of park.
Probably to communicate that in our back to school stuff, don't park right in front of these buildings.
Yeah, and most of our parents, if they're dropping off, they can't park in front of the elementary. They'll either park on the side and walk, or they'll go further down.
So-
Usually that's the first couple of weeks and then they. try
Right,
to
so
get
what
around it.
happens is that most of the parents, they only use one side of the street. And they're parked like way,
Around the corner.
Yes. So now they're gonna be able to use both lanes. And then we do need to have staff members to be able to, you have 2 vehicles out, and 2 more, load them out. And it should expedite the process. I know
So
staff members.
parking.
Excuse me?
So staff parking. I know there's the issue, so if they can't park here now, where they.
We have plenty,
Teach the parking person.
Oh, no, okay.
Yeah,
So we
there's
have
no-
less
there's no-
cars in the
there's no
back.
space, I think.
And then by the high school, and then the back over the student parking, so there's 22.
There's no space.
Are you saying so for the elementary, there's gonna be 2 lanes?
2 lanes.
We tried that one time, and let me tell you what was the problem, was this car wouldn't be paying attention, or this car would be paying attention, and we'd go to walk through it.
So that's gonna be where 2 people need to be there and, work together.
Use the
And
stop sign.
make sure,
We're there with the
okay.
stop sign in the front of their windshield.
Wait, are you meaning 2 lanes on one, like on the elementary side, or the elementary side and then the middle school side?
So you know how we have
Those 2 lanes.
the street, there's one on the elementary and then one for the middle school. The elementary people can use both. Okay. So basically, administrators, you need to communicate that to your parents.
They'll be for pickup,
That's gonna be for pickup and
drop off. will be
drop off
dropped.
is a lot easier.
Okay.
Drop off is a lot easier. So basically just for pickup.
So when we drop them off in the morning, do they have to wait until the teachers open the door to get them out, or because mine, my older girls would be like, can we just get out and we'll get the little ones out with us? And I was like, I don't know, because I don't want the teachers to get mad at
So
us.
that's why.
That was already all touchy thing.
Yes.
Valerie, I don't need to stop.
Just rolling it.
Let's go, boys, they know the drill.
So from a safety standpoint, yes.
Trevor. Well, then you'll wait for
Yeah,
the teachers
I
to
heard
get
that.
Mhm.
Ellie said she could do it all on her own.
At least if you can
Yeah.
go on your own and roll it out.
And she ate the curve. Yes. Yes, for those reasons, yes, especially we're using 2 different lanes. That's gonna be more important because we're just gonna have more cars, and stuff, and so,
I
the
mean, I
hard,
don't care either way, I just sometimes I was like, just get them off, you'll help the
Yeah.
teacher. Like, it's quicker for the teacher, one less car they have to do.
well, and it's hard because you do have middle school kids and they can get out,
It's high school kids now.
and high school kids. I apologize.
No middle school kids.
Do we think about getting more traffic cones?
Or
Gary?
reassigning our,
Can we get more traffic cones?
Well, we put all the traffic cones we want out there. We're still gonna run, a couple things, we're still gonna run into issues with parents parking right here at the beginning. Because even if we double up lanes, it's only gonna be 8 cars sitting, and stuff. So we're still gonna have some of that where they're there
Well, we
at the
can
very
put cones
beginning.
so nobody parks.
well, and I can imagine like all the middle school teachers and people in this school that are gonna try to park there, and it's gonna be blocked in the morning when they're coming to work because people are gonna be lined up.
This just is my opinion. I feel like putting the elementary in both lanes is gonna slow it down, because then you're gonna have middle school parents who are trying to pick up kids and they're gonna clog that lane. The elementary parents are gonna clog
Well,
that
if
lane.
that's the case, then you're gonna have to dismiss them. So they're, you know,
Well,
Again,
once
it
dismisses
comes to
them,
the-
should be later.
I mean,
Time should
I work at
offset.
schools where it works. It works. So you only load the 2 kids that are in the front, and if there's a middle school parent that is there, you know, waiting for the middle school kid, but then yet, you know, what you need to do is you need to say, okay, go around again. Sorry. I mean, that's just the way it is. And we just have to make sure.
We're gonna have them use the middle of the street though, right?
No, not the middle of the street. There
So
would
what
be
about
just-
the parents?
How are
What
they
I'm
gonna
saying is
load
about
them?
the parents that are coming through here, going, you know, all the traffic.
So
Could we not
that's
do 2 lanes on the one side and leave this side open for middle school
Yeah.
parents to go through?
This kid, this car would be trying to leave.
Is that what you're talking about? I was thinking, well,
By the time that the middle school kiddos dismiss,
Huh?
elementary, they already late.
But what if I
we're
have?
done. I mean, since we moved to the auditorium,
Uh-huh.
we're done. And
Couple
once we
stragglers?
moved to the auditorium, we were done mostly by 3 o'clock before even secondary dismissed. And that was only 1 lane, and stuff. And so once we made that adjustment, we didn't have the same issues we had at the very beginning of the school, where we were still trying to load and be in the middle of dismissal when secondary was coming out.
So we're
And
still
so-
dismissing early, so 3:50.
It's 15 minutes
Would be
difference, so
done
that should be. So we just need to make sure, Cody, so you need
3:14
to
or 3:15?
let your parents know, and then you also let your parents know.
So here's my question a little bit on it. If since we're dismissing from the auditorium, and we can get it done before secondary's out, do we still need to go to 2 lanes?
Well, the reason is, see, the police department, they had a lot of issues with cars just
Blocking
all over
people's
the place.
driveways.
And that's the intent of, you know, having the two-way, so that there's not so many cars all over the place. Because they have cars, I mean, all over.
Do we have much issue with like people who have a middle school or elementary kid and a middle school kid, and they're like, oh, I got my elementary kid, but I'm not moving until. my middle
Not
school
in
kid."
our lane. They'll go down a corner.
Can we extend the lane all the way to in front of central office?
I think we would have, I think
We
I
can,
think
that's
to
it.
solve
All the way
to
to
solve
the
that
gym.
issue with what you're talking about, I think we would need to extend it down at least in front of central office.
You just go, you go to pink dot, you go to green dot, you go to red dot. Like you're dismissing at pink dot always.
Yeah, and then we
And give them a
can kind of
station.
develop a system, but if the reason that we're talking about going 2 lanes is to limit the amount of cars that are parked blocking houses or whatever else, then we would need to extend it down to really
And we can,
fix that.
because nobody will be parked there.
5 cars doubled.
Mhm.
So really it's only gonna take 5 cars if we keep it at that same spot. But if we extend it
Well,
out.
then some people are creatures of habit, they're gonna go the same lane every time.
You could
It's
do
just
that.
gonna take some manpower, and it'll be okay. I think it'll be okay. We'll just need to make sure that we have the right.
Sorry I asked the question.
Well, it's an issue we
Any
have
more,
every single year, so.
Any more questions on the?
Any other got questions? Trevor, no,
They got that.
no more questions.
All right, just need, if there's any comments, questions, need a motion to approve.
I'll make the motion.
Trevor,
I'll second.
all those in favor say aye. Next item is budget adjustments. Anybody have any more questions for Ms. Jolene?
Just need a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Yes. All those in favor say aye. Open Meeting Act resolution.
Okay, and I'll be very brief with this. So basically, as, you know, part of the agenda tonight, you know, I'd just like to briefly discuss that the New Mexico Open Meetings Act, also known as the OMA. So it's crucial for ensuring transparency and accountability in the conduct of public business. So basically, I'll let you read those. And so there's one, as of July the 1st, all of the meetings, they need to be recorded and streamed live. So you don't know this, but today, we are being recorded. And today it's actually just a trial. And then, we're gonna see how it works, and then hopefully by next meeting, we will be in compliance. And all of our meetings, they're not gonna be on Facebook unless you really want them to be on Facebook or,
Or website.
or YouTube. They're gonna be on the website, and we do have to have them on there for 3 years. But this right here gives you the information, and I'll let you read that on your own. Okay. And then this chart that I gave you, this one here is just, just some general information about board meetings. Okay, and this is for you to keep and, just be able to look at it, in your own time. And I stand for questions on this. So we just basically need to be in compliance with the act.
Any questions? Just need a motion to approve.
I'm sorry, but I also sent you, and I didn't want to make a copy of this because it is rather long, but I did send it to you via email. And this one here is the Open Meetings Act Compliance Guide. Okay, so I sent it to you via email.
So roll call.
I didn't add,
Destry?
Yes.
I didn't
Trevor?
add
Yes.
anything else to that, what we usually do. I didn't know if we needed to add it, add the language of being recorded on that, on the Meetings Act that I sent y'all, or not. It basically is still just filling out as needed. The one that we do every year?
Yeah, this one, it's good. This one,
Yes.
nothing's changed.
No.
I think we're good.
Myself, yes. Chris?
Yes.
Dusty?
Yes.
Next item, idea B.
All right, idea B application, I gave you the whole application, but really, we're just gonna look at the front page, and it'll help you. We have $134,213.82 was our allotment for 24-106. That account is sped Kinder through 12. And there's two different accounts. What you'll look on here, objective 2 is what we pay to the REC. The REC gets 15% in our agreement with them with that. Objective 1, we use all of this on salaries. 24-109 is sped pre-K. We had a rollover of 7,231, which gave us a total of 14,456.44 cents. Once again, here, objective 2 is the 15% goes to REC. Objective 1 is we'll use that on salaries there at the pre-K. I think we paid for an EA in this feature. But pretty much historically, Hagerman's idea B is all gone to salaries. What's stayed with the state? Stayed with the district. Stand for any questions?
Any questions? Just need a motion to approve.
So moved.
Chris? I'll second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Superintendent report.
Okay, so I'm going to be very brief. I just want to thank all three administrators because they have spent numerous, really they have no vacation and they spend numerous hours interviewing and just trying to get ready for the new school year. For the first time, we are fully staffed, knock on wood. I hope nobody decides to leave. And I really think that I'm optimistic that they actually made good choices. So I think, we have people that, with master's degrees and I think it would be good for our community. So kudos to them because I know it's been a tough summer. And then, you hire somebody and then they decide to decline, and it was very frustrating. But a lot of changes, but we are going to have a good school year. And I think I have an excellent Hagerman team, and together, we are going to do good things for Hagerman. So thank you guys. So some, other changes. So I don't know if you knew, and after 30 years, we decided to retire. And so I have appointed Mrs. Carmen to take over, her position. Carmen is learning every day. It's something new. It's a lot of work, but I think with time and experience, she is going to do a fabulous job in here. So another thing, that I wanted to tell you that the board policies are currently being updated, and they should be ready soon. And then I also have, and I went ahead and emailed you my back to school letter as well as the activities that we have. So pretty much Cody already talked about this. So on the 2nd, we do have a new teacher orientation. On the 5th, members of the board, I did send you an email. So I extend the invitation for all of you to come in. And I know that 3 of you already said yes. I'm still waiting for two more. I'm not going to say who. But anyways, if you can, I would love to have you here so that you can just do maybe a 1 minute, 2 minute speech and be able to welcome the teachers. Just, anything that comes, just something simple. I also invited, so we will also have Candy Azale here. And she will be our keynote speaker, just welcoming the teachers, and then also Tony Garcia. Okay, so if you are available, we would love to have you here. We are going to have a breakfast at 7:15, from 7:15 to 8. And then, the welcoming is just going to be for a short time, from 8 to 9. And then the rest of the time will be building meetings, but you only have to be just here after 9 o'clock. Yes. And then, of course, on Tuesday, we have, professional development. For the secondary, again, it's geared towards attendance and graduation. So that's what the secondary teachers will be doing. And then elementary, Mr. Williams, can you let us know what you're doing?
Yeah, we're going to go over capturing the heart, put it in the house system, and then we're going to team-based leadership. So everybody will be serving on a team. So they'll have some time to meet with their team and develop their plan for the year, and then we'll have some. Tori will show us the Maker's Mark and some other academic things.
Maker's Kid.
Maker's Kid.
But, yeah.
Sign me up.
What room?
We'll be there Tuesday.
The open beverages, the library.
I said maybe you're going to share with Maker's Mark.
And really, that's all I have. I mean, also at central office, we've been very busy, right, Ms. Rowland? But we're just hoping for a good year. And that's all I have. I mean, I'm pretty much Cody and Mark and A-Rod, they said it all. I stand for questions.
Any questions, Ms. Reyes? Just need a motion to adjourn. Sounds like a bad destiny. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed,
Oh. Now I need some. Shot glass?
I signed it.
Take that one, look at it.